battlefield is quiet. The gods of Asgard speak in hushed tones. For ages, none have lifted the hammer of Thor. Not gods, not kings, not warriors. The inscription is clear. Whosoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor. But imagine, for a moment, another hand closing around it. Not Thor. Not Odin. Not even another Avenger. Imagine the Man of Steel, the last son of Krypton, grasping Mjolnir. The story begins not in Asgard, but on Earth. Superman, alien yet human, walks a path no one else could. His powers come from the sun. His morals from the Kents. His destiny from a world long dead. He has carried cities on his back. He has fought gods and monsters. But in his heart, he has always been a man trying to do the right thing. Now imagine him stepping into the circle of warriors in Asgard's golden halls. Thor places Mjolnir before him. The hammer gleams, heavy with the weight of storms and centuries. The gods smirk. No mortal, no alien, no outsider could ever lift it. Even gods of war have failed. But Superman doesn't laugh. He doesn't hesitate. He simply reaches out. His fingers close around the leather grip. The room goes silent. And then, with no strain, no struggle, Superman rises to his feet, holding Mjolnir high. The chamber erupts. Gasps echo through the hall. Even Odin leans forward on his throne. For in that instant, the impossible has happened. Superman is worthy. But what does worthiness mean for a man who is already a god among men? To the Asgardians, it is courage, honor, and sacrifice. To Superman, it is simply being who he is. The boy who grew up on a Kansas farm, learning humility from Jonathan and Martha, Kentucky. The man who never kills when he has another choice. The hero who saves not because he must, but because he cannot imagine doing anything else. With Mjolnir in his hand, Superman feels the weight of storms. Lightning crackles at his command. Thunder roars with his will. But unlike Thor, this power is not born from rage or battle lust. For Superman, it becomes another burden, another responsibility, another promise to keep. And yet, this moment does not bring peace. It brings questions. If Superman can wield the hammer, what does that mean for Thor? For Asgard? For the gods who believe themselves unique in worthiness? Is Superman now a god among gods, or something more dangerous? Thor himself stares in awe, but not jealousy. Deep inside, he smiles. For Thor has always believed in warriors of honor. And if the Man of Steel can lift Mjolnir, it means Thor is not alone in carrying the weight of gods. But the others are not so accepting. Loki, ever the whisperer, watches with narrowed eyes. If an alien can claim the hammer, what does that mean for Odin's decree? What does it mean for the blood of Asgard? Loki knows what it means, weakness. If Superman is worthy, then perhaps the gods are not as special as they believe. And Loki, in his envy, begins to weave plans of his own. But Superman does not seek thrones. He does not seek crowns. Holding the hammer, he looks at Thor and says words that echo through Asgard's halls. This isn't mine. It's yours. I only held it because I had to, because I would never ask anyone to do what I wouldn't do myself. The gods are silent, for in that humility lies true worthiness. And yet, destiny is never silent, for across the 9 realms, enemies stir. They whisper of a man not born of Asgard who now wields their sacred weapon. They whisper of balance broken. And soon the challenge will come. For when Superman lifts Thor's hammer, the universe itself takes notice. A question hangs in the air like a storm waiting to break. What happens when the man of tomorrow wields the weapon of thunder? The answer is not peace. It is war. The lightning still hums in Superman's hand. Every Asgardian eye is fixed on him. The weight of Mjolnir is more than steel, more than storms. It is history. It is worthiness defined by gods themselves. And now, a man from a distant world carries it as easily as if it were nothing. Superman feels its energy rushing through him. It does not corrupt. It does not burn. It settles into him like it has always been waiting. But this acceptance brings no pride. Instead, It brings a quiet heaviness. Because Superman knows every gift is a responsibility, and Mjolnir is not a gift, it is a trial. Thor steps forward, his eyes filled not with anger but with wonder. Few have lifted her, Clark. Even fewer without fear. I see no vanity in you. I see only duty. That is why the hammer answers. But not every god agrees. Warriors murmur. Some sneer. If an alien can take what was meant for Asgard alone, then what makes them gods at all? To them, Superman is not proof of worthiness. He is proof of fragility. Proof that their sacred heritage can be outshone by a stranger under a yellow sun. And in the shadows, Loki smiles. His silver tongue drips with venom. He whispers into Asgard's halls. If a Kryptonian can lift the hammer, what stops him from claiming the throne? What stops him from ruling all 9 realms? Perhaps worthiness is a lie. Perhaps destiny has been broken. Whispers spread. Doubt festers. And across the cosmos, enemies listen. The news of Superman wielding Mjolnir does not remain in Asgard. It travels like wildfire to realms that remember the hammer as a symbol of Asgard's might. To foes who once feared Thor's hand but now wonder if another warrior, even greater, has risen. Superman senses it. The weight of expectation pressing harder than the weight of Mjolnir itself. He never wanted this. He never came to claim power. He only picked up the hammer because no one else could. Yet now, the universe asks questions he cannot answer. What does it mean for Thor? What does it mean for gods? What does it mean for Earth? Thor answers in his own way. He does not see rivalry. He sees brotherhood. For years, Thor has carried the storms alone. Now he knows there is another who can share the burden. But even Thor cannot deny the fear in his people's eyes. And fear invites war. It begins at the edge of the 9 realms. Frost giants whisper that Asgard's rule is fractured. Fire demons of Muspelheim laugh at Odin's weakness. Even Hellas' shadow stirs in hell, sensing that the hammer has chosen another. They see Superman not as a savior, but as a sign of division. And they are ready to strike. In Asgard, the golden halls fill with tension. Some cry out that Superman should prove himself in battle, to show that his worthiness is not chance. Others demand that the hammer be returned, that Mjolnir's bond with a Kryptonian is an insult to their blood. Superman listens. He does not shout. He does not argue. He speaks simply. This hammer is not mine. I never wanted it. I only lifted it because I had to. But if you ask me to wield it in your defense, I will. Because I believe power means nothing unless it protects the innocent. His words silence the hall. Even Odin leans forward, seeing in Clark something rare, humility sharper than any blade. But Loki twists silence into suspicion. Innocent? Or useful? He sneers. Every tyrant once claimed they only fought to protect. Superman does not rise to the bait. But Thor steps forward, his voice thundering. Enough! This man has lifted what none of you could. If Mjolnir answers him, then so does Asgard. And if war comes, he will stand with us, not above us. But war is already moving. Armies gather. The realms march. Not because Superman holds Mjolnir, but because his worthiness shattered the illusion of Asgard's uniqueness. If an outsider can carry their sacred weapon, then perhaps Asgard's power is not eternal. Perhaps it can be challenged. Superman grips the hammer tighter. Lightning hums around him, crackling across his cape. He knows what comes. He has fought wars across galaxies before. He has seen worlds burn because power was envied. But this war will be different. For this war will test not his strength, but his heart. Can he carry the storms without becoming a storm himself? Can he fight with the hammer without being consumed by it? Can a man born of Krypton, raised on Earth, truly hold the power of a god without losing the humanity that made him worthy in the first place? The storm gathers. The hammer waits. The universe watches. And somewhere in the shadows, Loki whispers, "Let the Kryptonian prove himself, if he can survive the Titan's fire, for destiny is already shifting." And the next clash will not be between Asgardians and mortals. It will be between the man of steel, the god of thunder, and the enemies of every realm who seek to claim Mjolnir for themselves. The storm has only begun. The skies above Asgard darken. Armies gather. The frost giants march with icy spears. Fire demons rise from Muspelheim, burning through the void. The 9 realms tremble as news spreads. Mjolnir no longer belongs only to Thor. A stranger from another world has lifted the weapon of gods. And for many, that is reason enough for war. Superman stands at the Bifrost, the rainbow bridge glowing beneath his boots. In one hand, his cape flickers against the storm winds. In the other, Mjolnir hums with living thunder. He feels the eyes of Asgard upon him. They do not cheer. They do not celebrate. They wait, unsure if this Kryptonian will rise as their shield, or become their doom. Thor stands beside him, unshaken. Do not carry this weight alone, brother. The storm is ours to share. Superman nods, but he cannot ignore the unease. This is not his world, not his fight, and yet fate has dragged him into it. The first clash comes like thunder. The frost giants surge onto the bridge, their blades colder than starlight. Superman swings Mjolnir once, and lightning tears across the army, shattering their icy weapons. He doesn't kill. He never kills. But the hammer's rage is not so merciful. Each strike feels like a storm wanting to consume everything. Thor matches his fury, his own lightning clashing with Clark's, 2 storms swirling as one. But the more Superman fights, the more he feels the hammer pulling at him, urging him to strike harder, to unleash power without restraint. It whispers in crackles of thunder, "You are worthy. Claim the storm. Rule it. Rule them all." Superman resists. His heart remembers Kansas, remembers Lois, remembers a promise made to his parents that power would never define him. But every battle tests that promise. Every roar of thunder tempts him to stop holding back. Loki watches from the shadows, amused. This is what he wanted. Not war alone, but doubt. If Superman loses himself to the storm, the 9 realms will see him not as a savior, but as the tyrant Loki whispered of. And then the true enemy comes. The sky tears apart in fire. Ships blot out the stars. It is not frost giants, not demons. It is Thanos. The Titan has heard the stories. A Kryptonian wielding Mjolnir is no myth he can ignore. If such a being exists, then he must be tested or destroyed. And with the Infinity Gauntlet near completion, Thanos does not come quietly. He comes with legions. He comes with death. The battle shifts from the Bifrost to the very heart of Asgard. Superman and Thor fight side by side, lightning flashing in endless arcs. The hammer feels heavier now, as if it senses the scale of what approaches. Each strike rattles Clark's soul. Each thunderclap echoes across the 9 realms. Thanos lands, his eyes cold. A hammer, a god, Kryptonian. Worthiness is nothing but a story. And stories end. The clash is titanic. Superman meets Thanos with Mjolnir, lightning colliding with the Titan's raw strength. Thor joins in, their combined might enough to stagger even the mad Titan. But Thanos is no ordinary foe. He endures. He counters. And with each swing of his gauntlet, he bends reality itself. Superman feels the strain. The hammer amplifies his strength, but it also tests his restraint. Each time he holds back to spare lives, Thanos gains ground. Each time he unleashes fully, the storm threatens to consume him. And in that moment, Superman realizes the truth. Worthiness is not about strength. It is not about blood. It is not even about destiny. Worthiness is about choice. Every strike, every decision, every refusal to let power define you, that is what makes him worthy. With a final roar, Superman drives Mjolnir into the ground. Not against Thanos. Not against the armies. Against the earth itself. The hammer answers, unleashing a storm so vast it blinds the sky. Lightning consumes the battlefield, not to destroy, but to scatter. Ships are torn from the heavens, Demons are thrown back into fire, and even Thanos staggers, his gauntlets sparking under the storm's fury. When the light fades, the armies are gone. The Titan retreats, beaten but not broken, whispering that the Kryptonian will not stop him forever. Superman stands in the silence. The hammer feels light now, not because it is easy to lift, but because he finally understands its burden. It was never meant to crown a king. It was meant to test the heart. Thor places a hand on his shoulder. Brother, today you carried more than lightning. You carried hope. Mjolnir may answer you, but the choice to hold it will always be yours. Superman looks down at the hammer. Slowly, he kneels and places it back upon the stone. The lightning fades. The air grows still. He does not need Mjolnir to be who he is. He never did. The Asgardians watch in awe. The whispers of doubt fade into respect. Even Odin bows his head slightly, seeing that the Kryptonian did what many gods could not. He let go of power. And so, the legend is written. For one brief storm, the last son of Krypton carried the hammer of a god. Not as a king, not as a conqueror, but as a reminder that true worthiness does not come from the weapon you wield. It comes from the man who chooses how to wield it. And across the stars, even the storm remembers. Because somewhere, in the heart of eternity, the echo remains. The day Superman lifted Mjolnir, the day gods saw what it truly meant to be worthy.